Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kavinsky's Tutorials. Today I'm going to do a walkthrough of GlitchStep, the new app by the dev of Glitchcore, which is a pretty fun little app. Glitchcore works with audio, GlitchStep works with Midi. Now, we can do kind of fun stuff with this little XY pad down in the bottom right corner to do some kind of ratcheting type stuff. Now, sometimes putting that right down to the fastest setting doesn't sound all that great, so let me try it on some of the lower settings. Yeah, you know, so little glitchy, ratchety sort of things like this. I'm putting that through magnetic and black hole, and I'm using microwave here. I'm enjoying this so much. Very possibly my favorite synth release of the year, I reckon. So did a video on that a few days ago. And I've done a video on magnetic. And also, I mean, most of you will know, but I'm using AUm here as my host app inside my iPad. And I've done a big walkthrough on AUm as well. So just to say that GlitchStep is an AUv3 and it's coming out, I'm making this just before it comes out. It's coming out for iPhone, I think, definitely iPad, and it's going to work on some Macs as well. But remember, it is AUv3, so you know, you could use it in Logic, for example. I think Ableton also takes AUv3s these days, doesn't it? So you could use it in some desktop hosts as well. You'll find links and stuff in the pinned comment of this video, like link to the App Store. And you'll also find some links there that you can use to support me. You know, affiliate links and stuff like that. Great way. Those are a great way to support me at no cost to you. I've also got a really good Patreon and links there for donations. Someone sent me a PayPal donation a few days ago. Thank you to that person. Got a notification today. Someone bought something using my affiliate link for Plugin Boutique. Thank you to that person. You know, guys, these things really make a difference. So really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Now, GlitchStep, I'm going to walk through the whole UI. I'm going to really try not to make it too long. It looks like a simple app, but there's a bit more going on than you'd think at first glance. So I'll try to make it short, but it is quite detailed. I'm also going to do a little bit of review. So I think that it's really important when you're looking at a step sequencer of any kind to think about what your workflow is and what you enjoy working with. So I want this video to be useful, not just to show the features of the app, but, you know, I've done a lot of reflecting on what aspects of the app I enjoy and which I don't really enjoy so much. And I think that could be very, very useful for viewers as well. So I would recommend, you know, sticking around for the review part. I will insert little bits through the video as well. So what we got here then is a few different main sections of the app. So up here we've got the main step sequencer area. And so here, for example, this step is, well, let me turn this off first. And let me just reset the transport. So now it should run through, you know, it'll play step 1 and then, whoops, it'll play step 1 and step 2, and then step 3 will be a rest. And here we're seeing the note values, but we can switch views so that we can look at and edit gate values, velocities, and probabilities for each step. So let's play that. And so you see that passing through there, like that. And It's got 16 steps. We can change the start and end steps, and we can have our direction forwards or reverse. There's no ping pong for some reason. So if you want to change a value of a note, you just have to drag on the knob. And let me just use my finger for that. Right, so you're going to drag. Now, the values that will be available here will depend on what you've set up down here. So you've got your key and scale and stuff like that. You can also change the skin down here and set things like octave range, which octave it'll start from, and the MIDI channel it's sending out on and stuff like that. So, yeah, like you just dial in different values on these knobs. And if you've set a very high range, personally, I find it can be a little bit tricky and a little bit tedious to dial in the values that you want with intentionality and in a way that is sort of musically enjoyable. Like personally, for me, you know, if this is a performance sequencer, for me, there's nothing to beat a piano roll type UI. Like here on Synthesizer, that is my personal preference for note input in a sequencer. I don't like knobs and I don't like sliders for inputting notes. So this is one of my personal gremlins, not a gremlin, but it's just one of my personal criticisms of this app. That part does not really work for me in terms of my workflow. But yeah, some people won't mind. So then over here, we've got a randomizer and a shuffle and shift left and shift right. So down here, we set what these things will affect. So here, at the moment, this is the only thing turned on. This means notes. So that means that, for example, if I randomize, all these note values will be randomized. If I shuffle, the note values will be shuffled. Now, excuse me. So what is the difference between shuffling and randomizing? Randomizing can create totally new values, whereas shuffling will just take the existing values and move them around. So same, you know, shifting here, if I press shift, it's only going to shift the note values. So if you look, for example, here we have B2 on this step and it is on. But if I shift back, what's going to happen is this F#5 will go here and this B2 will go over there. So that's exactly what happened. And so now this B2 will not actually play because that step is off. So if I wanted to, I could just put that back again to the way it was a second ago. If I now press step here, this means step. So now step and notes will both be changed when I do something here. So now look what will happen. This B2 will move over here, but it will still be on because this step value will also move back. Right? So we got this B2. Now it's on the third step instead of the fourth, and it's still on. So yeah, that's step, that's note. This is your gate lengths. And so remember, if you actually want to see the gate lengths, then you're going to have to change that view up here. And this one is velocity and this is probability. Okay, so you can randomize things using this, right? Or you can just shuffle and so on. So you can come up with things that you like. And so the basic principle is that either you could do that kind of thing on the fly. Let me just go back to what I saved there. And let's get that transport going. So, you know, I could randomize this. And remember, you know, what actually gets randomized will depend on what's selected here. So I can randomize that. And what we might want to do is also use this pattern switcher and stuff. So first of all, I'm going to undo that. So now we're back at what we had a second ago, but I've got a really important point to make about undo in this app. So basically, undo, it's kind of limited in what can be undone. So for example, if I shuffle or randomize or shift and those kind of things, those can be undone. But you can only undo one action that is very limited. Next thing, if I change a knob value manually, like this says F, well, let's just change this one, be easy to set back. So this is a B2. If I change that to this A#4, you can see that I do not have the option to undo that. So the undo functionality is extremely limited and there is no redo functionality. Now let's look at other things here. So this pattern switcher, I already, put in a few different patterns here. Let's just go to a pattern that is set at the default, right? So it's set to just play Cs. Now I want to mention here, I think I didn't mention this in this. This is not my first take of this video, unfortunately, tonight. I think I didn't mention this in this particular take. So you can change a default value. For example, if I bring this up here and I want to make A#5 my new default, I long press on this. And now if I go somewhere else and double click, now it has taken that new default value. So yeah, anyway, I could, for example, go in here and randomize this pattern. And if I get something that I like, then I could say copy it, and then I could go here and I could paste it in here, right? And then if I don't like this, I could also just reset it by pressing this twice. And that'll just initialize it. So then the other thing that we can do is kind of make like a chain patterns together. So at the moment, we just have pattern 1 in here. But I could take, for example, pattern 2, and I press add, and now that gets added. And then, for example, I could add one of pattern 3, and then let's just say I want to add 2 more of pattern 2. Then I just press that twice and add those in. And so I can chain my patterns together like this. But what I do really like is we can drag here to move things around. Well, not that that's going to make any difference, but yeah, we can drag things to move them around. And look at this. We can, oh, it's not working with the mouse. This works with your finger, but it's not working with the mouse. Left, because I am using an iPad, and some apps have slightly dodgy mouse implementation. It seems this one, it's not working 100%. So you can left swipe to delete. So that's so cool, right? Now down here, you can set the rate for the pattern which is selected here currently. So if it says GR, that will just be the global rate, which currently is set to 16ths. And if I press on that GR thing, I can instead choose one of these other rates. So we can have different rates set for different patterns. Okay. Over here, we can dial in a swing amount and random range. So let's look at velocity, for example. So we're on the velocity view, and I'm going to set this so that velocity is the thing I'm going to randomize. So at the moment, all of these are set to 100. So I'm going to pull this random range down here. So now we're only going to get values between 0 and 65, right? So let me press random. Hey, hang on. Velocity, why is 163 there? Hang on. Because that means 65%, yeah. And velocity goes up to 127, so, you know, that's a percentage, yeah. So also we can like drag from the bottom there. So now we're only going to get values in this kind of middle range. So, right? So I love that it's got that little random range thing. That's a really nice little implementation. Now let's just press this again. And let's look at the slicer. So let me play. So if I turn this off, now the sequence is just going through in the normal order, step 1, step 2, and so on. Let's go to a new pattern. So this is set to the default setting. And let's just okay, so now nothing is happening because this is not on, so let me turn it on. Now, this is a really important thing to pay attention to. See, here I've set it to play step 16, but step 16 is not actually activated, okay, in the sequence, so that's why you'll get silence. So if step 15, for example, is one of the active steps, so if I instead just drag these across, now we're just getting all step 15, right? So now just let's go like this. That's quite nice, actually. So again, here, you know, we have all the randomize and shift left, right, up and down buttons. And over here, we can chain these together, just like we can up here. Now, let's look at the glitch section. So there's a button here, which is also important for this glitch section. This is called aggressive glitch. So, let's turn this on. Now let me bring this down. Now, see, what's happening here is when I press this, it's going to stop at whatever note has been triggered, or whatever note, you know, wherever the playhead is at that time, that's where it's going to stop. And if this is set to 0, it's just going to repeat that note. And it's just going to be that note over and over again. Let me change to something like this, right? So it's now just repeating that note again and again. Now let me turn it off. Okay, and now I pressed it again, and now it's repeating a different note, the one that it, you know, the one that was playing when I pressed the button. So the thing is, if you have a lot of inactive steps, there's just a risk that when you press this, at a certain point you're going to get silence, like here, right? So there's silence. So that's where this button can come in handy. So this is called aggressive glitch, and what it will do is just, it will override the whether a step is actually being triggered or not. Even if the step is set to be off and it's a rest, it'll still produce a note. Same with probability. If you have like low probability, if it stops on that note, it will just ignore the probability settings. It'll be like it's probability 100. So that's how aggressive glitch works. And so then with this little slider, we're just choosing the rate. And then here we are increasing how many notes can be ratcheted. So if this is set to 0, it'll just stop somewhere and it will just repeat that note. So here it is, it's stopped here, I think. So if I bring this value up, oops. Right, so you see now it is playing these 2 steps. And if I bring it up more, now it's playing, 3, 4, and so on. And we can make it do the whole 16 if we want. And so we can also play this on the XY pad. So let me drag over. So here now it is just gonna glitch that note. And if I stay on the far left, now we're changing the speed, but it's still just gonna play that note. And so then as I slide over, we start to get a few new notes coming in. So this is cool, right? This is the USP really, I think, of this. Now before, this had a slightly different implementation, which was more interesting in some ways, where instead of just moving forwards like it's doing now, it would move sort of randomly to either side within a defined range. And that made it a bit more chaotic. And I think that the dev is going to maybe bring in something that gives you a choice. You had to disable that for some reason. It broke something or something like that, so. Now, very important little difference for the sort of OCD people among us. I'm not being facetious, by the way. This was puzzling me earlier, so I spoke to Alex and he reminded me of something I'd forgotten. So here, when you trigger this, it's always going to, that first note is always going to be the same note. If you want to get new notes being triggered, you're going to have to depress this and press that again. That's pretty nice, isn't it? Okay, great. So I've covered all of the main functionality of the app, and I'm going to just turn this down a little bit, and I'm just going to change this to something a bit more mellow, and I'm just going to do my kind of final little review. Let me ask you guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please smash the like and write a comment. And if you like videos on iOS apps, and there are a lot of desktop apps that get released on iOS as well, so I cover a lot of desktop apps too, then consider subscribing, but only if you're interested. So, yeah, like, my main problem really is what I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that I personally don't really like on a touchscreen dialing in note values with knobs. I massively prefer this kind of UI for doing that. So that is a bit of a dampener for me. I don't enjoy that aspect of this app. But apart from that, I think it is a pretty fun app, and it's had some love put into it, like stuff like the UI is beautiful. It really is maybe the prettiest iPad or iPhone or whatever release of this year. Looks great. It's got some nice functionality over here with, the randomizer and the shuffle and all that stuff. I did mention that I kind of wish that it had up and down arrows here for transposing the notes, but it's not the end of the world. Just put it through something else that can do that, like Scalar, like I'm doing here, from the Bramboss Rosetta suite. I did 2 videos on those years ago. These apps are a bit old now and they're lacking a lot of features, but it's still a cheap and useful collection of MIDI apps. So, yeah. That's not the end of the world, right? Can use something else for that. I'm glad it has swing. A lot of MIDI generators have neglected swing, and I think it should always be there as an option. It really annoys me that you can't redo actions and that undo does not work on manual changes to knobs. I'd love to see a better implementation of that. What else? Maybe ping pong mode would be good. Might be handy. I kind of wish that there was, some sort of mutate function. And I wish there was a little mutate function for this as well. But, you can chain things together, but still, I think mutate can be quite nice, really. I think this is fun. I'm looking forward to this glitch section getting the more chaotic mode added back in. It's useful that it has this aggressive glitch function that I talked about a few minutes ago. That's definitely useful. So for sure, this XY pad really is the most interesting part of the app. And then the other main point I made was that I wish that it had ability to dial in custom scales. All you would need is somewhere where there's a little keyboard and you select exactly which notes you want to be included. But again, it's not a big deal for me. And well, it's kind of a big deal because yes, I can use an app like Harmonizer or Note to do that, but it really is not as convenient as having that functionality in the app itself, because, for example, if I had that in here and I wanted to have, let's say, a scale that just had 4 notes in it, let's just say C, E, G, A sharp, let's say, and maybe I don't know, maybe I don't even know what scale that is or anything, but let's say it's not in here. If I had the ability to put it in as a custom scale, and I set my octave range here to 3, I would then only have 12 possible values to dial in, and I could really dial in exactly what I wanted using these knobs, and it would be totally accurate. Whereas if I have to go through a third-party scale quantizer, then there are times when I would be changing something here and it wouldn't actually change anything, in the output. So it really would be useful to have a scale quantizer in these. I'm always very curious how devs pick the scales that they pick in these things. G's? Wow, I've never heard of that. Distraub is his own thing. Sounds nice. So apart from the need to enter notes using knobs, which I really don't like, I think it's a cool app. And this XY pad is really fun. So I do really genuinely hope, guys, that this video was useful for you, not only in learning how to use the app, but also in being able to decide whether this workflow is for you or not. I think it's really important that the iOS scene matures and that reviewers are not afraid of pointing out things that they don't like or that they think could be improved in apps. Not everybody likes this. Some people think that, you know, everything should be just super positive and we should be supporting devs and so on. I think that it's important for, you know, it's important for me to be honest, first of all, in my videos about what I think about things. The longer I've been doing this channel, you know, the pickier I get. And, you know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it's got two sides, like every coin. But, you know, I have spent a lot of time playing with a hell of a lot of different apps, and my opinions do get stronger over time. You don't have to agree with my opinions, but yeah, you know, I think that I want to help people make wise decisions about what apps they buy. So I like to be honest about that. And I think that constructive criticism is important in improving this scene. And this scene really needs to be the best it can, because iOS is already, it's so niche, and we really need, like, everybody needs to be stepping up their game to make it the best it can be, so we can pull more people into iOS music making. Okay, thank you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.